The forest never gave back what it took. That's what the locals said when the rescue team entered the Carpathian fog, 3 days after the last radio call from Eleanor Reeves. The wind clawed at their coats, whispering through pines like restless souls. A metallic glint caught Captain Pavel Morara's eye, half buried in the frozen mud. The cracked shell of a camera blinked red once, then died. It was impossible. The battery should have been long gone. Mira Petrescu, standing beside him, felt a chill crawl up her spine as if something beneath the soil had shifted. They didn't speak. Only the faint echo of a woman's breath, caught in the static, dared to break the silence. Who had turned the camera back on? And what had it seen before the light went out? Back at the ranger's outpost, the rescued camera sat beneath fluorescent light, dripping meltwater onto a steel table. Dr. Thomas Ionescu leaned closer, his weathered fingers tracing the broken frame as though touching a relic. "It shouldn't have turned on," he muttered. The technician nodded silently, afraid to look into the shattered lens. On its final second of footage, a flash, a scream, and then a whisper of wind that almost sounded human. Almost. Outside, the mountains waited, wrapped in fog. Somewhere out there, a story, centuries old, had woken again. Eleanor Reeves' final logbook arrived from her university, notes scrawled in haste, ink smeared by rain. She had written of strange figures watching from tree lines, of chanting that stopped the moment she turned her head. Dr. Ionescu compared her sketches with 15th century manuscripts from the same region. The resemblance was impossible. Each drawing, hollow eyes, twisted limbs, matched local legends word for word. Eleanor had been tracing something older than the forest itself. When they replayed the camera's last clip, the sound engineers noticed something buried in the static, rhythmic, deliberate. Not wind, not human speech. It repeated every 7 seconds, as if something beyond comprehension was trying to communicate. Mira left the room mid-playback. She said it wasn't the sound that frightened her. It was the silence between. At dusk, Captain Pavel stood outside the outpost, staring toward the forest line. The fog thickened again, curling like breath from something alive. "She's still out there," he whispered. Behind him, the lights flickered. Once, twice, as if the forest had exhaled. Somewhere deep among the pines, a camera shutter clicked, though no one was there to press it. Morning, the Carpathians came gray and slow, like a secret unwilling to be told. The rescue team combed through the ravine where Eleanor's tent had stood. Her footprints stopped abruptly near a stream, the mud still shaped like she had been running. And then, nothing. No drag marks, no animal signs. Only her scarf snagged on a branch. Captain Pavel held it gently, his breath visible in the chill. "She didn't run from a person," he said. Mira Petrescu glanced toward the trees where the mist moved against the wind. What could make a hiker vanish without sound, without struggle, as if lifted clean out of time? The footage was stabilized frame by frame. Dr. Helena Weiss leaned closer, adjusting filters. Between 2 frames of static, an outline appeared. Tall, translucent, its limbs elongated beyond human proportion. She froze the image. Dr. Ionescu whispered, "That's no lens flare." Mira turned away, trembling. Science demanded explanation, but instinct screamed otherwise. And for the first time, the scientists looked afraid of what proof might mean. They traced Eleanor's map. Every circle she'd drawn marked an ancient burial mound. The last was labeled only with one word: hollow beneath the soil. According to local legend, were tombs never meant to be opened. Yet Eleanor's notes showed a disturbed site. The ground dug out days before her disappearance. Dr. Ionescu's voice cracked as he read aloud. "They don't rest beneath. They wait above." That night, the wind howled against the outpost walls. The team played the audio once more, filtering out frequencies. What remained was clearer now. a woman's voice whispering in the distance, repeating one phrase in English. "Not alone." Mira's eyes filled with tears. Dr. Weiss gripped the desk until her knuckles whitened. The forest outside stirred violently, as if answering back. At dawn, Captain Pavel returned to the site alone. The air was still. He placed Eleanor's recovered scarf on the frozen ground, as if offering it back. Somewhere deeper in the valley, a faint sound, not quite a voice, not quite an echo, answered him. When he looked back, his footprints were already fading in the frost. It was as if the forest had decided he didn't belong anymore. The restoration lab in Bucharest buzzed under sterile light. Engineers had managed to recover 30 seconds of Eleanor's final clip. Blurred, distorted, but real. The first frame showed her face, illuminated by flashlight, fear in her trembling breath. Behind her, the forest seemed alive, shapes shifting where none should move. Dr. Helena Weiss froze the playback. "That's not shadow," she whispered. On screen, Eleanor's eyes darted off camera, as if something unseen stood behind the lens. The team watched in silence. When the audio began to play, someone, or something, exhaled on the microphone. The recovered frame showed Eleanor whispering into the camera, her words nearly lost to static. "It's following the light," she said. "They don't want to be filmed." Her flashlight beam flickered wildly, cutting across twisted trunks and hollowed earth. Forensic analysts confirmed there was no one else in view. No animal, no other hiker. Yet a tall shadow passed behind her twice. Dr. Weiss slowed the clip to half speed. The shadow blinked. Once, the team enhanced the sound spectrum. Beneath Eleanor's voice, another frequency pulsed, low, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Dr. Ionescu compared it with seismic data recorded that same night. The frequencies matched tremors registered 30 kilometers away. "She wasn't alone," he murmured. "The ground was moving with her." Mira stood near the doorway, pale and still, staring at the waveform like it might start breathing. The following frames shocked even the skeptics. The camera spun, capturing the forest in violent motion. Branches shook, the ground rippled as though something vast moved beneath. Then, stillness. For a single second, the camera faced upward, catching a face partially obscured by fog. Eyes black, hollow, reflective like glass. The moment lasted less than a frame. Dr. Weiss replayed it 20 times. Each time, she swore the eyes looked directly at her. Late that night, alone in the lab, Dr. Weiss replayed the footage once more. The screen hissed with static. Then the image shifted. Eleanor's face appeared again, but this time her lips moved, though no sound came. Weiss leaned closer, muttering the words as they formed. "Behind you." The lights flickered. Monitors dimmed, and a faint reflection appeared in the glass behind her. Tall, motionless, hollow-eyed. The footage cut to black, but the reflection did not. By dawn, Dr. Helena Weiss refused to leave the lab. The footage was her obsession now. Frame by frame, she found distortions that shouldn't exist. Every 10th frame contained data the camera wasn't built to record. Frequencies beyond the visible spectrum. Dr. Thomas Ionescu watched silently, his hand trembling around a coffee mug gone cold. "It's not light," he whispered. "It's something using light to hide." Outside, the wind clawed at the windows like impatient fingers, and beneath it all, a faint, mechanical hum. As though the forest itself had begun to breathe, Helena sent a sample frame to a physics lab in Munich. Within hours, they replied with a single message: "Impossible spectral field. File unstable." Then, silence. When they tried to reopen the email, the attachment had vanished. Mira printed the image before it was lost. A pattern of concentric circles overlaid on Eleanor's blurred figure. "It's not noise," Ionescu murmured. "It's geometry. The kind found carved into burial stones centuries before cameras existed." Later, the power went out. Only the monitors remained alive. their glow pulsing in rhythm. Data on screen began rewriting itself. Timestamps from centuries earlier appeared in the metadata. 1453, 1681, 1902. "It's looping," said Weiss, voice trembling. "It's pulling data from time itself." Ionescu backed away, eyes wide, whispering in Romanian prayers once taught to ward off the dead. The hum returned, lower, deeper, like something enormous stirring below the floor. Mira insisted they stop. "We don't know what we're calling," she said. But Helena couldn't. The final enhancement revealed the source of the distortion, an impossible image buried beneath layers of static. Eleanor's face again, but inverted. Eyes black voids, reflecting stars. Behind her, faint geometric rings glowed, moving like a living map. "It's not distortion," whispered Ionescu. "It's a doorway." The room fell silent as the temperature dropped 10 degrees. That night, Helena's recordings picked up a sound not heard by the human ear. Subsonic, rhythmic, identical to seismic readings from the burial site. She mapped it, and a chilling realization spread across her face. The pattern matched Eleanor's map exactly. "It's everywhere," she whispered. "Under every mound, every forest. The camera's last image wasn't of a thing. It was a signal, and whatever sent it had heard them respond. The villagers of Valea Negra had seen it before, though no one spoke of it openly. Dr. Thomas Ionescu led the team into the old settlement where the myths were born. An elder, her voice shaking like brittle glass, whispered of the Hollow Ones. Spirits that took shape when men disturbed their resting ground. "They never die," she said. "They only remember." Mira translated softly, her voice fading with each word. Helena listened in disbelief, but when the woman produced an amulet, a silver circle marked with the same pattern found in the footage, even the scientist's hands began to tremble. Anna spoke of an ancient vow, that when the mountain was disturbed, the dead would rise not as ghosts, but as hollow reflections of those who trespassed. "They copy us," she said, "so we forget who we are." Ionescu remembered Eleanor's last words from her notes. "It's behind me, but it looks like me." His voice faltered. "Maybe she didn't just see one of them," he whispered. "Maybe she became one." The villagers led them to the mound. A scar in the earth where grass refused to grow. Snow clung to the soil, untouched by footprints. "No animal crosses here," Anna warned. Helena placed a scanner on the ground. The device flickered instantly. "Electromagnetic disturbance," she muttered. But the reading climbed higher and higher until it burned out. Ionescu stared at the crater's edge and said quietly, "This isn't sacred ground anymore. It's awake." That night, Mira woke to whispers outside her tent. Faint, overlapping voices speaking her name. She unzipped the flap, breath steaming in the cold. The forest glowed faintly, as if reflecting unseen firelight. Between the trees, a figure stood, her same height, same posture. It turned slowly, revealing her own face staring back at her. Eyes hollow and lightless, she stumbled backward, heartbeat roaring in her ears. When she blinked, the figure was gone. But the frost on the ground held 2 sets of footprints. At dawn, Mira didn't speak. Her reflection in the window lingered half a second too long. Ionescu gathered the camera, the amulet, and Eleanor's final tape, locking them in a steel case. "This isn't folklore anymore," he said. Helena nodded, her face pale. "Then what is it?" Silence. The wind rose outside, carrying faint whispers that sounded eerily like her voice repeating, "Not alone." The data Helena extracted from Eleanor's final clip contained an anomaly that defied every known rule of optics, a moment where the light bent backward, folding space like liquid glass. She played it on loop until dawn. At frame 328, a pattern pulsed across the image, forming a ring that seemed to move outward, as if trying to escape the screen. Tomas Ionescu stood beside her, whispering, "It's recording what should be seen." The hum returned, low, constant, vibrating through the floorboards, and with it, a faint outline appeared on the glass wall behind them, echoing every motion they made. The signal in Eleanor's footage wasn't visual, it was spatial. When rendered in 3D, it mapped the Carpathian Valley itself, each pulse matching a point on the terrain. "It's a beacon," Helena said softly, a message broadcast through time. Mira stared at the projection as points of light converged on a single location, the burial mound. Outside, thunder rolled though no storm was forecast. The signal was growing stronger, and the lights on the monitors began to flicker in rhythm with it, as if responding to a pulse not of this world. They decided to return to the site one last time. The forest greeted them with silence too complete to be natural. Even the snow refused to crunch beneath their boots. The scanner Helena carried pulsed. Faster, the closer they came. When they reached the mound, the ground had sunk inward, forming a perfect circle, smooth as glass. Thomas whispered, "It's not a mound anymore. It's an opening." A gust of wind rose from below, carrying with it a faint echo of Eleanor's voice. "Please don't follow." The crater emitted light from nowhere. Not warmth, not radiation, but something else entirely. Helena set her camera to record. For a moment she thought she saw Eleanor's face reflected in the lens, smiling faint. Then the ground trembled. A thin column of light burst upward, blinding white, filling the clearing with impossible silence. Mira screamed her name, but Helena was gone, her equipment scattered in the snow, camera still running. On its screen, her reflection lingered for a heartbeat longer, then smiled back. When Thomas and Mira returned to the outpost, only one file remained on the recovered camera, labeled finalframe.nav. The footage showed Helena standing still before the mound, eyes open, expression peaceful. But the timestamp read 1893. As the clip ended, her reflection appeared again, this time not in glass, but in the air itself, like light refusing to fade. Thomas whispered, "She's part of it now." The camera shut off by itself, and somewhere in the distance a faint echo, the sound of a shutter closing. Weeks passed. The valley was sealed off, officially labeled unstable terrain. But the locals knew better. Mira Petrescu sat in the empty outpost, eyes fixed on Helena's last log. The scientist's voice, calm but distant, whispered from the tape, "If you're hearing this, the anomaly isn't gone. It's spreading through the lens." The screen flickered again. Helena's face appeared for a split second, older somehow. Eyes dark as obsidian. Outside, snow began to fall in perfect circles, melting in rhythmic patterns that matched the signal's pulse. The camera on the desk turned itself on. Dr. Tomas Ionescu returned to the city with the steel case, but strange things began happening in his home. His reflection blinked when he didn't. Every clock froze at 3:28, the exact timestamp of the anomaly. He began recording his dreams, the mound glowing, Helena calling his name from beneath the earth. "It's learning," he wrote in his journal, "not haunting, adapting." The next morning, his neighbors reported lights flickering from his study, long after had stopped moving. Back in the Carpathians, Mira found new tracks leading into the valley, bare footprints in snow, perfectly preserved despite the storm. She followed them in silence, her breath short, steps careful. Each print led toward the crater, now frozen over, smooth as glass. At its center, under the ice, a faint red light pulsed like a heartbeat. She pressed her palm against the surface and felt it pulse back. The recovered footage, the one Thomas never sent, was found weeks later, mailed anonymously to a university archive. Its last frame showed the same clearing, only this time 3 figures stood there. Eleanor Reeves, Helena Weiss, and a third shape, tall, translucent, faceless. The timestamp read 2025. Yet, none of them had been alive to film it. The archivist paused the video, staring at her own reflection on the black screen, until another reflection appeared beside hers, and smiled. At midnight, deep in the Carpathians, the wind rose once more. The burial ground was silent again, but the camera, still half buried in frost, blinked red. The same faint hum vibrated through the valley. Snow shifted over the lens, and through the distortion came Eleanor's final whisper, clear at last. "We're still recording." The light flickered, then steadied, as if something on the other side of the lens had finally learned how to keep it running.